All right, welcome everybody at this webinar Testing Thursday. Today it's about quality engineering in SAP and especially about our new method, new training, new certification TMAP quality engineering in SAP. Let me start first to explain why this is in English, because the invitation was in Dutch. We noticed that a lot of people all over the globe were attending this webinar. So welcome everybody from every corner of the world. We're happy that you're watching. No pressure, Janine and Pepijn. So my name is Thijs Wonders. I will be the host of this webinar for today. I'm a community manager for SAP testing and everything around presenters within Sogeti. Fast-growing community with a lot of focus on SAP, of course. So this is a community we are having for a couple of years already. We see a lot of trends in the world of SAP testing, and we want to focus on it. And we have, I can say, a strong community with a lot of knowledge, and we like to share this knowledge. So obviously, this is the reason for this webinar. So on my table today, Janine and Pepijn. Let me kick off with to ask you to introduce yourself. Janine?
Sure, I'll go first. Hopefully everybody can see me. I kind of made a bad wardrobe choice today, so
no worries, you're visible.
Still visible from here.
Visible.
Very nice. So yeah, my name is Janine Hogenbrug, working for Sogeti since February 2020, and very quickly after the traineeship moved to SAP testing. And ever since, I've been doing work for very shortly Bodil, then a little bit longer at the Dutch Railway Company, and as of last year for the lovely ASML in the south of the Netherlands. And since, well, last year, I've been involved with the development of this SAP training, so this quality engineering for SAP training, and that's why I'm here.
Yeah, and of course, you're a TMAP trainer as well, quality for cross-functional teams.
So I've been doing the basic course for TMAP, so the quality for cross-functional teams, training a couple of years now as well. So that was kind of also why I had some nice input for this course. So yeah, hopefully also to give these trainings in the future when they are up and running.
So you bring a lot of TMAP knowledge, a lot of SAP knowledge to the table.
I hope so.
Big expectations. Talking about big expectations, Pepijn.
Oh, now you set the floor. Yeah, welcome. Thank you. My name is Pepijn Paap. I'm actually the subject matter expert on SAP testing, working for Sogeti for 18 years. So I'm finally getting involved within the company. I've seen, I think, a lot in the operational field. If it's in a greenfield implementation, if it's an upgrade, a migration, if it's in the operations part. So yeah, I've seen a lot, and yeah, since a year, 1.5 years ago, we got the question. We have our TMAP umbrella with all kind of new trainings and new cool things. Can we do anything about SAP? Is it that different? And I think we will elaborate on that question later. Is it that different? Do we really need to have a distinction between standard testing or normal testing? Because we have a big book. Why is SAP testing so different? Then I started to think about it as subject matter expert, and I created the business case, and we will talk about it a little bit later. I created the business case, and I think it was very valuable. And then all the peers here also said, hey, that's very valuable. We actually leveraged that with the international community as well. And everyone was so enthusiastic. And okay, now we created the project team, and now we're here to reveal the sneak peek of quality engineering for SAP.
Yeah, you gave away a lot of information already, Pepijn.
but not deep dive yet.
Yeah, no. But let's start. Let's kick off because you already touched one topic. Why is SAP testing so different from normal testing? In a few sentences.
No. Let's go back one step because is it really different? Then I would say no, because testing is testing, and we validate business processes. To set the stage, we created this whole training for a new target group. So it's not for the IT professionals. It's more focusing on the key users, because within SAP, SAP projects, and especially within development and in testing, key users are a very important target group. Often they need to do some testing, regression testing, or they're a part of the user acceptance test, but they don't have time, they're not efficient, they don't know what to do, they're not allocated. Now, I can name a whole list of people, or a whole list of reasons why they're not involved. And then we thought, hey, they're so important for testing and for quality and delivering the SAP to go live, we need to engage them more. And how we will do that? By telling them how to test, how to build quality in from the beginning. So this is a mix from the standard TMAP topics added with a source of SAP.
Okay.
So yeah, that's set to say. So it's really different. In essential, it's testing, but yeah, it is different because SAP is so big, so many stakeholders involved, so many teams involved. It's not simply testing a website, no, it's testing your core business applications.
And
that's the change.
Exactly, for the audience that we have now, these key users, it's very useful for them to also understand why certain decisions were made, so that you are part of a larger test strategy, of a larger test plan, all these types of jargon things that they otherwise would not be bothered with. They're just maybe randomly asked, please join in, but now they get a chance to see, okay, what does it mean to be involved with an SAP implementation? Why am I asked? Why am I involved?
Because often they're acting in a silo. You're sitting at your desk, you do normally maybe accounts payable, and you produce all these things, but you don't know what's happening on the sales side or maybe on the HR side. Eventually, everything is connected, and we want to bring all these knowledge and people together to get a common understanding.
And now we know a little bit about the importance of testing in an SAP environment. I guess if I look to the attendees, most people know about TMAP, but in a few sentences, Janine, can you tell us what is TMAP exactly?
So TMAP is basically the term that is often used, body of knowledge. I believe 1995 it started here with Society. Well, if you look at the floor downstairs at the bookshelves, it's filled with books that have been written on TMAP. We have the new, third edition, of course, new here available. So this TMAP is basically
are trained in testing or quality or not, but even if they're involved, they're already contributing, because they will probably see the end product before it's go live. Yeah, I expected something like 21 to 40%. I think that's also what we anticipated. That's a fair point.
But then it also, if I understand correctly, more than half filled in that they are less than 50% involved, right?
Yeah.
So that kind of means that we're on the right path here. The expectancy we had that, well, maybe key users could be involved more, be it through this course, be it through involving them earlier, that we are not alone in this. So that's good to hear.
Yeah, and what I noticed in the beginning, or told in the beginning, key users want to be involved, or they are involved, but do they get the time to get involved? Because they're so busy with their day-to-day activities. This project is side, it's not their main activity. So sometimes they're 20% allocated to a project or to a change, and 80% in the business on the daily operations. But now daily operations is hectic. There's a P1 error or whatever. So now they need to focus on maybe not 100%, but 200% of their time. So they cannot dedicate to testing. The project is continuing and running on.
Well, yeah, or a different side, I mean, that we also probably experience at clients is that you ask them to participate and then they say yes and they get time, but then there are reasons why the IT project is being delayed or why there are difficulties, struggles. And if you cannot explain to them, if they don't understand why certain things might be delayed or take more time, then it's very random for them, like, oh no, please wait, the test environment isn't ready yet. What does that mean, right? So for key users, it might be very valuable to have these basic terminologies in place to also know, like, oh, I see your sprint wasn't finished yet because of this reason. We are needing to change something in the test environment, takes time. That's also something that this course can.
And as a test manager, now the allocation of resource. So we know, for example, the 1st of July, we will start with the testing project. So we will do test execution or maybe test preparation. I need to claim you for 20% or 40% of your time to create test cases, execute test cases. So I want to allocate them up front so they know, okay, I need to do something. And then hopefully their managers give them their time. And if you have a good key user organization, they can participate in testing as well. So yeah.
Would be nice, Pepijn, would be nice.
Yeah, it would be nice. It's the ideal world. No, 100%. But we go there.
We'll get there, yeah.
Of course, business involvement is quite important. Definitely.
I think if you look to the voice model in the book, and I think you can emphasize that it's all about bringing value, business value. Business for the business.
And eventually get the confidence measurable by people, right? So that they know and really want to start using what
But if the business is not involved or the key user is not involved, how can I create that confidence and get the experience? So yeah, it's also related to the voice model.
It seems that we lost connection for a couple of minutes. So it might be that people have lost a little bit of information. I think we came back with the poll if I see people in the chat. So if you feel you missed something, just ask us, and we will be happy to.
What's the recording now?
If there is a recording.
If there is a recording.
Okay. One thing we talked about is the target audience for this training, and well, yeah, we already told for a couple of times we're focusing on key users. You told the reason about it. Okay, it might be that some people missed this part. Pepijn, can you repeat in short, why do we focus on key users for this training?
Yeah, to keep it short, because I think we just talked about it for 5 minutes. We deliver business value. We should deliver business value, so that key users should be involved in the whole project to give their voice, to give their consent that the business is, or that the software or the process is actually meeting their requirements, in short. And if they're not involved, then what are we doing as a delivery team? What are we delivering if we're not bringing value? And that value can only be determined by the key user or validated by the key user.
Well, determined, but also accepted, right? So if you as a company decide to make some sort of change, that's also one of the topics in the syllabus, to change something in your current way of working is going to impact their daily life. They might reject it. What are you buying, right? So what are you trying to change?
Communication.
Exactly. So if you don't involve your key users, this resistance might pop up, and you're going to spend money on things that might never be used by people, or that people don't like it.
That's quite interesting to me, because normally with our team of training and team of certification, we're aiming for testers, people involved in the world of testing. So most people involved in testing have somewhere some team of certification, sometimes very old, sometimes very new. But for this training, we're not aiming for testers, right? Or if you're if you're a tester, can you follow this training?
Double, because what I notice when I'm sitting with some clients and customers in sales conversations, what they often ask nowadays is, okay, we don't have the knowledge, we need your help, we need your support, please help us. But keep in mind, after the project or maybe during the project, what do we as organization need to do it ourselves? So instead of having an offshore teams or outsourced, what do we need to do? What kind of skills do we need or teach our people to do it themselves? So we can talk about test automation, we can talk about quality engineering. So yeah, this is very beneficial for them. We can train their key users to take over in the run phase to run the testing and the regression testing, user acceptance testing, etc., etc. So we create awareness.
Adding to that, we are very much emphasizing it's key users, but it's also operations, maintenance people, anybody, basically needing to work onwards with the product that's being built. So those people, of course, are also free to take this course. And answering your question, could testers also take this training? Sure. I mean,
why not?
Why not? If you are interested in the world of SAP and SAP testing, by all means, if you are allowed to follow this course, sign up for it.
I really recommend that.
Yeah, but it might be, of course, if you, for example, already took the TMAP quality for cross-functional teams, you might see some overlap and might be like, oh, I already know this topic, but there's a lot of new stuff in there as well. So,
cool.
Sure.
So for everybody, focus group is key users, operations, people, maintenance. Yeah. And as a test, of course, you can take this to your clients and tell them, okay, follow this course because it will help you in the process of quality for your SAP project.
Yeah. So get all faces.
And then we talk about, you asked me just prior to this, what is the difference between testing and quality engineering? Now we really work on quality engineering. You create the awareness, people know what it is. It's not only about now pressing the buttons. It's in your processes, it's in your DNA, it's in how you act, the way of working. That's what we want to actually achieve with this.
The shift in our field of work for the last years, you go for quality engineering instead of just validating or testing.
Exactly.
And maybe a stupid question, and it's not a question from someone in the audience, so it's just my question. But will you become a test automation expert? Because I know there's a lot of going on with Tosca and enterprise continuous testing in SAP. So does this training make you a test automation expert with Tosca?
You look at me. Yeah,
no, I can answer it, but I mean, I think we both know.
No, definitely not. So it's not a technical training. It's not a technical course. You don't need technical skills. However, we will tell something about test automation, but we keep it high level. So you don't need any technical, because without test automation nowadays, you will not make the difference anymore. So time to speed, it's still, but you need different skills. It's a different skill set. It's a different kind of resource what you need. Now, if this is not your ambition, then definitely don't deep dive into test automation. It's a whole new, playing field. But it's important. So we will touch it. We will tell something about test automation tools, about test automation. So what are the foundations? But then engage other people to actually set up the framework and do the technical things.
But I think even test automation starts with a strategy in testing, because you can automate everything. Sure. But if you automate crap, you will get automated crap.
I would rephrase that. Automate only the useful.
Yeah, indeed. So start with the quality risk assessment, etc. Maybe this is the right moment to switch. So can you tell me something about what's in the training? What kind of topics are you touching? So I know a little bit of test automation.
So when it comes to the topics, basically, how this course came to be, we asked all kinds of different colleagues of ours to contribute. First of all, we made a list of topics that we encounter in our everyday working life when it comes to SAP testing, and we distilled the topics from that. So there's information on basics. What is ERP? What is SAP? What can you do with SAP? All the different modules that are in there. There's information on quality risk analysis, test strategies, how to make them, and then create test plans with those. but also very exercise-based topics like all these test design techniques, right? So how do you create a nice test case separate from only SAP, but then now in SAP context?
And in addition to that, we also tell a little bit about SAP Activate. Sure. This is a SAP methodology how to implement S/4HANA the best way. We don't say you need to follow it; it's a best practice from SAP. So it's heavily recommended. So we tell a little bit, and all the kind of test activities what we have within the SAP environment, where do they touch base in this Activate model? So we tell a little bit about that. We briefly mentioned it already in the beginning, organizational change management. Yeah. It's a very hot topic. How do you get your organization involved in the big change which is coming, so the big why? Yeah. I think we have a very nice topic about that as well, to explain to the people. So yeah, it's a mix of SAP related things what we discovered in the field,
and
TMAP old stuff, and then we mix it and I think now.
Well, exactly. So also this idea, so what is quality engineering, what is continuous testing, what is CI/CD working, so also these topics that TMAP would cover usually, and then added some of our SAP topics that we thought were most.
Yeah, for example, anomaly management,
right?
Defect management. We had a lot of discussion about how should we call it defect management, anomaly management. In the book, it's called anomaly management. In SAP, we often call it defect management. Is that different than other technologies? Well, registering a defect or anomaly, it's not different, but how to deal with that and the teams involved, because you have your different solution trains or solution teams. Is it finance, HR, supply chain, procurement, sales? It doesn't matter. You have different teams, so there are some slight differences. I mean, yeah, we all.
Can you believe we're going to do this in only 2 days? This is so much
That's
information,
what I thought as well. And
yeah.
I know in the beginning, I think you had so much material. I think you could fill a training of 2 weeks. So I guess in the project you really had to.
I think we created more topics than in the current book. Just double the size. So we the whole thing about being creative is also cutting.
Yeah,
you have to go back to the basics.
But that also explains exactly why you won't become a test automation engineer from this course. We had to, of course, we want to cover useful topics and we cover those in depth, but we cannot give all the attention to every topic that it might actually deserve.
And of course, we got a lot of brilliant courses within Sogeti to teach people the
basics
of Tosca.
Contact him.
Definitely, no worries. Okay, let's go to the second poll question, because we would like to know from the audience. We're halfway right now.
Let's make it interactive.
Yeah, let's make it a little bit interactive. We got some topics out of this this new training. We would like to know, where would you like to know a little bit more about? And let's start this poll. Second poll. And let's go to the second poll, and I'll share the poll. So please answer us, what kind of topics would you like to hear more about?
Hopefully let's choose some easy ones.
Yeah, that's the risk, right? You have a lot of people working on this.
Now it's the interactive part.
Comes down to us.
Else I give all the difficult ones to you.
That's okay.
Yeah. And maybe in the meanwhile, nice to tell as well when they fill out the poll, when we created this business case, and maybe people don't know that there are about 400,000 organizations worldwide or global who are using SAP. So that means 400,000 organizations should have key users who has to do something with quality or quality engineering. So this was our business case to get them involved. So yeah, that's why we also created it. So it's a potential big target audience.
It seems that something went wrong with the poll. People are seeing the results already instead of the voting. So we didn't get any votes at all.
Oh,
so I think it's up to me. Okay.
This was not set up.
No, this is definitely not set up. Because I don't think so. No, it's closed already. All right. Let's start with an SAP test strategy. What would you like to tell about the SAP test strategy? I should ask the test manager, of course.
Oh, now, briefly mentioned as well. The test strategy is actually the the base how you will approach your SAP project. So what is important? Your quality risk analysis was one of the topics, but the quality risk analysis is a big input giver to your test strategy. So what are the high risk areas? And normally these are integrations. If there is, of course, SAP is not a monolith. It's heavily integrated with many systems. So integrations, you need to have a strategy. How will you test that? And so we will tell something about that. The second risk mainly is it standard SAP or is it highly customized? Now, if you have customized code, but per definition, it's a high risk. So we should test more and more on that. Test data management, the availability of test data, it's always very challenging, especially in the complete end-to-end chain. So if you want to do end-to-end testing and you have some satellite systems, third-party systems, SAP in the middle, or how many systems you have, you want to test that. Is your data available in both systems? You need to have a strategy for that, and people to collaborate. You need to be aligned with all the stakeholders. So in this SAP strategy, all these topics, they will be highlighted, and now we need to have the support from management, the product owners, maybe the scrum masters, maybe the portfolio board, or if you work waterfall with the project lead. With everyone involved, we should have that red dot on the horizon on quality. That's what we want to reach, and we need to have a strategy. We cannot simply just start. Oh, you deliver the finance process. Let's say, oh, that's okay. Oh, you deliver the HR process. Oh, it's okay. But is it all connected to each other?
Test strategy is really also useful for conscious thinking about what are we going to do. So think about your scope, make some sort of plan of how you're going to approach things, right? These are all kinds of things that flow out of this test strategy to kind of give you some direction in what you are doing. And this is why it's very
so you have your quality risk analysis. It's some kind of input for your strategy, so you know the high risk areas, but it's also input for your test planning, because now you want to start with your high risks first. Now it will maybe it can help to build up your requirements for the development team. Hey, we start with high risk first, your test case preparation. So all these things are linked to each other. Important. That's why test strategy is so important.
And also for in this course, because now obviously we have key users and maintenance and operations as maybe they aren't realizing that this thought goes behind it, right? So we are not randomly assigning you test cases. There is some sort of process in front of that, and that is kind of belonging to a test strategy. So that's also one of the reasons why we included it in the course, because that kind of makes the awareness a lot bigger of why are you doing this, or why are we asking you this.
Because high risk is high test cases or a high amount of test cases. Low risk is low amount of test cases, but no risk.
No implementation.
If no test, is actually also no implementation, because if there is no risk, then people are probably not using this business process. Because there is no risk.
It's a waste of time to test.
Yeah, but
maybe also a waste of time to make.
Maybe also a waste of time to develop it and to configure it, because if there's no risk, people are not using it. No. Because if you use it, then there is always some kind of risk.
No. Cool. And when I go we got some building blocks on tmap.net. Because that's our body of knowledge, of course, and there are definitely some building blocks on SAP testing already. And when I read it, there's something that always triggers me, and that's practices up. Is it part of this training as well?
Yes and no. Yes, it is part of the. It's not a dedicated learning objective, because practices up is also a little bit outdated. So with practices up, we had a whole matrix with static testing, dynamic testing, and things like that. So we refreshed it a little bit, but practices up is an acronym for attention areas. Processes, reporters, authorization, etc. That's still valid, because that's still there, but we skipped all the rest parts. So it's still very important when you create your test strategy that you think about processes, you think about reports, you think about authorizations, you think about conversions or enhancements, you think about maybe Fiori apps or whatever. So it's still a little bit valid, but you need to build your test strategy around these key areas.
Sounds like the starting point, but not as
well, maybe somewhat of a guide, right? So that it's not like you simply going, what should I put in this test, but it's basically giving you some pointers on where to look.
And of course, you shouldn't test SAP functionally. That's not the most important part.
No, you validate the output.
No.
That's the whole thing. No, standard SAP will work. No, what I said, 400,000 organizations are working with it. So, do you need it? So implicitly, if I need to test the output, I need to create a sales order, for example. So the sales order is standard SAP. Maybe some little configuration there, but I want to validate the output. No, is my product delivered, and is my customer invoice correctly? So I create that sales order, standard SAP. So I need to test it implicitly, but explicitly, I'm going to validate the output.
Company-specific details.
To just to give it simple.
So far about the SAP test strategy, or did we miss any things?
Of course.
Don't give away too much. Right? Don't give away too much.
You already talked about the quality risk analysis as well, part of the test strategy. Anything you want to add on this topic, or did we touch all the points as well?
There are many things to add. Without giving away too much, because I still want to get the people attracted. But the standard risk analysis, as mentioned in the Quality for DevOps book, that was our base, but it's in SAP landscape or SAP project, it's a little bit different. So we actually upgraded the SAP risk analysis, and here it's actually a weighted risk analysis. So we use two teams. It's the IT team and it is the business team. So here again, we interact and we get the key users involved, because they need to, based on some definitions, they need to fill in for each process what kind of impact it is, what kind of frequency of use it is, what kind of technical impact it is the standard SAP, as you know. So with the whole technical formula, and we will deep dive that into the training as well, a risk class is defined, and based on this risk class, it's input for your strategy again. But yeah, it's a combined thing. So it's not solely from you, no, it's from the IT and the business. So what's important for IT, what's important for business, and we bring that into a risk. And it's also very useful for project management, and actually for the maybe for your sponsor or for your product owner, they want to see where are the risks and are these risks covered.
Yeah, but also useful for, like, on a lower level for your development team, right? So giving you a score, what type of risk class are we in, how much test intensity are we going to give to this?
Yeah.
So it's both informative for indeed higher management levels. Okay, so how are we going to tackle these risks that might occur, but also to kind of pinpoint and give direction to your ways of testing.
And it sounds very complex, but actually it isn't. Maybe the first 2 or 3 processes to fill in, it's hard, but it's a standard definition with a ranking or a rating. So you can score 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, and then the formula is calculating everything. The formula is also not that hard. But yeah, it's as soon as you master it, after 3 processes, you just fill it in very quickly.
Depending on which level, of course, you perform this analysis. Is it indeed your development team? I've seen this done in refinement sessions. You kind of distribute a class to a certain story. That's the lowest level.
The biggest challenge.
But that's
is the scope.
Yeah.
So you need to have clarity on the scope. If your scope is keeping changing or not defined or not frozen, then we are aiming on a moving duck. That's always the challenge, especially with Agile or you work in sprints. What is the scope and what is the risk? So we need to have conversations with all the involved stakeholders. No, this is the scope and this is the risk.
But this is something people can start with directly after the training.
The model is still available on teammap.net, so you were referring to teammap.net already, but it's a little bit old information yet. So the new syllabus, we still need to put it online. So we
work in progress.
Work in progress. We have activity outstanding to everything what's in here. Should go to the body of knowledge, but it's not there yet.
Similar to glossary things, right? So
but we only do that. This syllabus now has the 0.7 version. We start pilot training with that. I think we'll talk about that later on. But as soon as this is the 1.0 version, it will be uploaded into teammap.net.
So all information go to teammap.net.
Now in a couple of months.
Is there a template for a quality risk analysis on teammap.net as well?
There is already one.
So that's a brilliant starting point.
Okay. And also the whole explanation is already there. So what is currently on the teammap.net side, I think for 95% it's matching.
Some changes, of
course.
You need to update our body of knowledge always, make it better every day. All right. One of the other topics, I'm sure, Pepijn, you definitely want to talk about OCM, organizational change management. But maybe let's go to SAP Activate first.
SAP Activate?
Yeah,
sure.
Pepijn, is it?
Yeah. So I think we briefly mentioned that as well in the beginning. The SAP Activate is a methodology for SAP how to implement or upgrade your SAP landscape. And if you go to the SAP website, I think it's the rapid.sap viewer or something like that, or the rapid viewer, you can actually select there based on your, so you want to move to the cloud, you want to do a DevOps approach, an Agile approach, a waterfall approach. And they have, I think, 20 kinds of flavors for your project approach. And then you get a model, and that model actually gives you all kinds of steps you need to do in all kinds of phases to work to that go live moment. Part of all these phases in Activate, so it depends on what you choose, your approach, cloud or on-premise or whatever. We have all kinds of test activities, and these test activities actually don't differ that much from the approach, because we still need to create test cases, execute test cases, create a strategy, create the planning, get your stakeholders involved, etc. So we on Activate we plotted all our test activities, which are related for SAP testing. We plotted that on that whole roadmap. So we will not start with test execution. No, of course, no. If you need to start to get involved with the user stories, do some review, some test preparation, get some demos or whatever to create your test cases, etc. So all these things are in there. And Activate has 6 phases, and we want to get involved as soon as possible. Maybe not with the whole testing yet, but if there is a test manager or a test coordinator involved from the beginning, you can plant the seeds. You can review definition of done, definition of ready, bring in your entry criteria, which are also a little bit more specific. We have a whole topic about that as well, a little bit more specific for SAP testing as well. So get involved as soon as possible, and make sure to get the mandate that if things are on quality level not okay, that stop the project is maybe a little bit too hard, but that you can open up the discussion with all your stakeholders and sponsors. Hey, we're not meeting the agreed quality. What will we do? What is our next step? That is very important to give that insight from the beginning, 360 overview.
To refresh my memory, so for SAP Activate, we are only going into what does Activate do, right? We're not going to give them all the different types of.
There is one slide in the training, for my knowledge, that has just it's plotting the activities.
Okay.
That's it. So we will not deep dive into it because these are all learning objectives.
Yeah.
So all the learning objectives covered in the training. I think 90% is plotted in that. Yeah. So it's also one of the latest learning objectives, I think.
If you need a training on SAP Activate, you have to go to SAP.
Yeah, exactly. There are many books. I have a book back home. It's 700 pages about Activate.
Just to kind of not scare people away. It's not going to be.
But definitely we taught the language of SAP in our training.
But in the Activate methodology, we will bring in the quality engineering part. We will not bring in the project methodology. So we will not talk about what do you need with the cutover, how do you do your integration, how will you set up your fit to standard workshops, etc. That's not our cup of tea. We're involved. It's not our cup of tea.
And start with quality as soon as possible instead of at the end, and the training will be a great starting point. Okay, cool. Anything to add, Janine? No,
not to Activate. No. But you were saying you're dying to talk about organizational change.
Yeah,
I'm dying to talk about organizational.
You want to talk about it? Okay.
But this was Activate.
This was Activate. No, so I was the one
OCM.
who got to read to write the OCM learning
cool.
objectives.
Cool. I always hear Pepijn talking about it. It's your topic.
The virus was infected. Yeah.
Janine, tell us more about
communication and training plan, right? So it's far more than just ask them to test something.
And we don't talk about the functional change. It's more like the operational change.
Exactly.
So it's a new way of working. You got a new system. You got
Yeah.
a new tool to play with to do your daily work.
Yeah. And I also like, because I find that out in my daily work practice as well, this discipline of change management and the discipline of quality engineering, it hits each other very nicely. Because we are creating test cases, and maybe that is nice input for user manuals, right? Or instructional videos for a user. So it's very, overlapping, because you want to create something that is actually testing what they are going to be doing.
Yeah, and it should not be a management party. So the management or maybe your top level, they decided, hey, we need to go using SAP. You need to explain the big why.
Yeah.
Why are we doing this? What does that mean for me? On every layer, so from strategic, technical to operation, what does it mean for me? And if I can explain it, then people are more involved.
Yeah.
And you start with creating the awareness. So if I explain the why, hey, awareness is created, and then we have that whole model. Then it will create, or we will step by step will grow to the ambassador network. And if I'm involved later, I can still become that ambassador, but it will take more time. So people involved in the project, they're the early adopters. They go through that loop very fast, but maybe not the key user, but the end user. So after go live, now finally the organization need to use it. They are later in the process, so we also need to keep them aware and create ambassadors from them. But that will take more time. So don't expect if I give the system to you tomorrow you use it, you are an ambassador. No, it's not going to happen. But in many organizations, that's expected. Hey, we are live now. We tested it. It's okay. You can work with it. What do we need to do?
I think that this discipline of OCM, of organizational change management, is going to get more. It's going to grow in especially larger companies.
It's important.
Yeah, they're going to invest money in this to make sure that their people are well communicated, well involved, get a training plan early on, instead of having this just thrown upon them somewhere.
And then you can debate: is this part of quality engineering? Because it's a specialism. It's a specific task for people to do. So within this project, you have change managers. So they're not the functional change managers. So when you have a software change or whatever, no, they're really organizational change managers. They need to guide the audience or everyone involved through this whole transformation.
And the reason why it's so well suited to the world of SAP or any ERP system for that matter, because in these ERP systems, a lot of different people are involved, different teams, different roles, and also it takes a long time to implement SAP. So it's not something that's done in half a year. So you have to get people constantly create the awareness, keep it going, like we're still working on it and you're still used for this and this. So this is why, especially in ERP projects, change management, organizational change management is very.
And the last thing to add here is that change managers, if you talk about training, they often come to the test team. Do you have some processes I can use?
Do you have any steps that we can follow?
And they want to actually then use our, because we have detailed test cases about processes, they want to use that for their training purposes. So there is a relationship. So we start outside the project. I always mention that, and before you know, you're actually in the middle of the project. You're the spider, because we communicate with everyone, with technical teams, with operational teams, with functional teams, with management, with operation. Now it's
often the testing team is best aware of all the processes of everything.
Eventually, we need to create the manuals as well.
Because you already got the test
How
cases.
often did you get that question? Maybe you can create a manual as well, because you know how the system works.
Can create a slide deck for that.
All right, 10 minutes to go. We know now much more about the training, about a lot of topics. So you already told there are test design techniques in the training as well. So there are definitely a lot of topics in the training today. So you will touch the basics, and if someone wants to know more about testing or TMAP, is highly recommended to follow the rest of the TMAP training. Can you tell us a little bit, Pepijn, about how does the process look like? You're now at 0.7 version of the syllabus. When will the first training start?
Yeah, so let me elaborate on that. So that we have now the 0.7 version. So internally, we created all these learning objectives, and then the project team we did a big review, because everyone was working in silos, because now you were assigned to a learning objective. You write, and then eventually we need to bring all these things together, and then we review some. We were not in sync. No, you're using a different style, different font or whatever. So we bring that all together, try to mold, create, massage it to one big storyline, and then we had to determine which learning objective should we start with and how should we bring that. So we had some nice internal review. Then we went to our global, from the whole Capgemini group, global SME SAP experts. So we brought, I think it was a 0.5 version over there to do a big review. This is a big review round. So we got a lot of interesting feedback as well, but also some feedback we think, hey, we never thought about that. We need to add an alinea or add some lines, or hey, maybe this is not okay. And of course, sometimes we got the feedback. It was very technical. Yeah, you need to add the testing pyramid on a detailed level. I was thinking, yeah, it's interesting for a tester.
Yeah,
but for the key user, it's so we had to debate on every single line of feedback we get. So then we reached the 0.6 version, which was actually shared with ISKI, and ISKI will be the training exam institute providing the training or examination later on. We have a special group of interest, a special interest group. They also did the review. We received that last week, and now the 0.7 version is shared with SAP yesterday to do their final review, and then we probably reach the 0.8 version. But this 0.7 version, to come back to your question, is the input for our pilot training, which will start next week.
Yep.
So it's very excited.
For Society people, right?
Yeah, it's an internal training. Yep. So we have invited our community, our team. We will do the training as it is an official training. We also do the training in English, so it's also a little challenge for us.
No, English, we're doing fine, right?
Yeah, right.
We're doing fine. We'll
yeah, because we mastered the topic. Yeah, and then after the training, we also received some feedback. We will ask our participants to write down and then we should come to the 1.0 version, or actually the 0.9 version. And then with the 0.9 version, we will do a customer launch. Yep. So we will select a customer, a launching customer, to do the pilot training with them. And then that final feedback will be collected, and then we have the 1.0 version, and that one will go live, and based on that one we will do the examination. Yeah.
So if people are interested, I think they can then register themselves for an open training somewhere in September, October.
The open training. There are 2 open trainings, isn't it?
I think they were already planned for either the end of September and November, but we'll see if we'll go.
Yeah, because timeline next week is the internal training, the pilot training, internal. So it's a 2-week training. Then I think the end of July we aim just before the summer holidays to do the customer training, the launching customer. And then we need to finalize with all the exam questions, and then
exactly. So depending on if people want to do the exam. If they don't want to do the exam, they can already start. But the exam is still in work in progress.
When do you expect the certification and the exam?
Q3, I think, from September onwards.
Still a lot of work.
Creating exam questions is.
It's fun.
It's fun, but it's a creative process. And I don't know if you're creative all the time, but you cannot just, hey, now I'm creative.
And just like a project, you want to bring quality in the project.
Yeah. And also there are maybe interesting, just give them a little insight. If you want to create exam questions, what is the level we use English questions? Yeah. Are we using A1 level or A2 level, or is it B1 level? Should you ask negative questions or double negative questions? We have all kind of rules and actually agreements, internal agreements, how we should set up exam questions. So it's if I use a terminology and it's like a synonym, maybe you don't know it. So I should keep it simple, basic, understandable for everyone, because it's a global training.
Yeah,
and not everyone is mastering English on a master level.
We're trying to keep it on a level of English that everybody, also if it's not your native tongue, that you can understand it and should be able to finish within 1 hour if you take the exam.
So definitely people should have a look at the socials at tmap.net to get more information about this project.
Maybe you can tell it that we are working on a global launch.
Oh, definitely we're working on it. So soon we are expecting more information, and it will definitely come to everybody interested on all our ways we're communicating within this company. But first step first, the pilot training within Society. And then after the summer break, we are expecting to give this training to a lot of people.
But also maybe for the audience, now we're almost at the end. To the audience, if you think that this is suitable for you or it's very helpful for our organization, now plant the seed, drop the word, now get it out there. Of course, a lot of topics will be on the socials. We will announce everything, but you know it's coming, so you can already prepare.
Yeah, definitely. And if anyone wants to know more about this, just get in touch with us.
Yeah. And to make the success, we need you.
Yeah, of course, definitely very important. I don't see any questions anymore in the chats.
Is it so clear?
I think so. I only see from the one responsible for our trainings within Sogdi, for the Sogdi Academy. And if you want to know more, go to academy.sogdi.nl. The training is planned in September and November. So yeah, if you want to know more, just go to teamup.net or to the website of our academy, or reach out to any of us. We are very open to answer a lot of questions. Maybe not to answer the exam questions, but
not exam
a lot of questions. So we're facing the end of this webinar of this Testing Thursday. Any last words you want to add to the full story?
Personally, I'm very excited about it. So it was a long journey.
But a fun one.
A fun one. So we also learned a lot about it.
Exactly.
I was also not aware of a lot of things, and especially on the organizational part of it. How do we launch it? How do we create it? So I learned a lot about it. So I'm very excited about it, and I'm looking forward to get maybe not to the finish line, but to launch it, and then make this a success. Yeah. Because now this is an idea, but it's in our head for over a year now, and it's nice to see that now.
To an end result.
Go live and let people. Yeah. Enjoy it.
And of course, the end result is a starting point as well. So
yeah, because of course, once you launch it, it's not finalized in that sense. Of course, you're going to have different people applying their context to it, right? So you're going to hear all kinds of experiences. Yeah, you're going to have.
We need to let go of the baby.
Application to different contexts. So that's
I think from the 100 biggest companies in the world, 99 are using SAP. 77% of all financial transactions are going through SAP. So there are a lot of people to be trained in the world, in the wonderful world of quality engineering.
To convince that they should do this.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Or at least let their people do this, right? I mean, give them some time for it.
There you go. I want to thank you all very much for listening to us. Apologies for sometimes that the sound was mixing up, but I think we made it till the end. Let me end with a call to action, not only for TeamUp Quality Engineering for SAP, reach out to us or to teamup.net, but also the next Testing Thursday session will be on the 15th of June. And colleagues of us will look back at the test automation days, which actually today in Rotterdam. So a lot of people from Sogdi went there, had presentations on stage, but also were in public. So they will look back on this event on the June 15th. What a call to action I want to address is for the 19th of September in Utrecht. We will have our yearly Quality Experience Day, the biggest test event in the Netherlands. So if you don't have it in your agendas right now, put it in the 19th of September. Come to the QX Day in Utrecht.
Also there we have a stand.
Oh yeah, we will be there with
to announce. And if you have more questions, come to us.
Yeah. And last but not least, a couple of years ago we launched a report on SAP Business Assurance, and the relaunch with an update version will be. We're expecting it in June, so keep an eye on that as well if you want to know what's happening in the world of SAP Business Assurance, SAP Quality Engineering. A lot of things to say the same, but thanks a lot, everybody, and
enjoy your evening. Bye bye.
Have a nice evening.